Paul McCartney, that is Band on the Run, 98.7 WFGR. It's 6:44 on a Thursday. Andy and Dave, you got yourself 41 degrees. We're going back to our story earlier on from the news about Chicago and the outlying areas after the storms that went through this last weekend. And lucky for me, reporter here in town, Brad Edwards, used to work over at TV8. He's ventured on, and he is now kind of the big shot. I know he doesn't want me to say that, but he's kind of doing the do down at CBS Television in Chicago, and he's got a little report for us. Brad, good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you? Good morning from Washington, Illinois, where they're in the midst of one heck of a cleanup right now, Andy.
No, it is just unbelievable to see this weather come in November, and then to think that this kind of damage broke out so close to us, and even up here, we didn't get much more than some trees down and a couple of roofs knocked off.
Yeah, this was truly a Midwestern dumping. This was truly Mother Nature wreaking havoc on the Midwest. I know just to the east of you guys, they got some significant damage and power outages. You guys in West Michigan kind of avoided the brunt of it. But here in central Illinois, I've never quite seen anything like this, and this certainly isn't my first rodeo. I've been covering storms for a long time, been dispatched to many places, but here there are so many anomalies to it. And one thing you pointed out is the November hook, and one thing they're facing here in Washington, Illinois, and throughout this state is it is November. This is so rare to happen, and when you're talking about here, 1,000 homes in a city of 15,000, 1,000 homes damaged, and most of those 1,000 were completely destroyed.
Oh my God!
How do you rebuild a city in November? The thing that typically happens with tornadoes is springtime, summertime. That is time to rebuild them.
Yeah.
That is building season. It's cleanup time. It's sunny out. Those are opportune moments. Not that it's ever opportune when you get storms like this, but it's important. Then you have time to clean up, rebuild before the winter. Now they're talking about really rebuilding a city in November. So I think this story here is going to continue, and yeah, it really is. There is real worry amongst leaders here in FEMA that's on the ground today of how exactly they are going to handle this 1 in 5 families displaced as we're about to get slammed with winter.
Talk about, the families that are displaced right now. Where are they? Are they with family members? Are they in shelters? What are they doing?
Most of them with family members, and many of them, we are staying at Best Western, $60, $70 a night Best Western in Morton, Illinois, which is about 10, 15 minutes from Washington, Illinois. Completely full of families, completely full of pets. So most of them are staying at hotels, donated or subsidized by the Red Cross. A lot of them staying with families. Not as much the shelters, just because, it's early on. A lot of them do have families that they're close with, but some of those families that are helping them out, they're really thinking, like, how long is this going to take? Usually 4 or 5 days after a storm, you got the cranes and you hear those sounds. That's not happening here. Yesterday It was 49 degrees and sleet, or 40 degrees rather, and sleeting. Today again, it's going to be cold and rainy. Not happening again. And this is still pretty temperate. It's only going to get colder.
Right. Talk about this now with with your experience in news and things like that. We seem to hear more and more about these disasters when they happen in the Philippines or when they happen in Haiti or something like that. But now it's in our backyard, and why does that tend to get glossed over?
It is a fascinating thing. It is. It's always interesting to me as a news guy. How serious we take care of, or how we don't take care of sometimes our immediate neighbors.
Right.
And we think on a world base more than we do a local base. And that is a little different from this storm, because I got to say, it's been pretty awesome to see what has happened. One station here in the region has already done a fundraiser I think they nearly raised $1 million.
Wow.
I know Chicago stations a couple hours away are going to kick off some major fundraising efforts. The Chicago Bears have gone full tilt in supporting some of these communities,
Awesome.
dispatching some of their best players. So this is, I think, one of those storms that will get the attention it deserves.
Good.
But it's always fascinating to me, Andy. You're completely right. I mean, we spend a lot of time, give a lot of money that goes away from our communities when you got kids in Muskegon that need help with reading and after-school programs.
Yeah, Muskegon, Grand Rapids, everywhere.
We need so much help on the south side of Chicago. It's unbelievable. Yet, it's just, I don't know, but that's a great question that I think of, and I know you do too.
How about this? All right, you started off here in Grand Rapids. You had a great run here. You went to Detroit. You went to was it Indianapolis?
Indianapolis.
Now you're tearing up Chicago. What's the next step for Brad Edwards?
I'm pretty. You know how it is. I mean, the next step, hopefully, gainful employment, right, Andy? I mean, hopefully, TVs will still be on in a few years. But I'm lucky because I've got a lot of Midwestern sentiments. I know it's Moray. This is where I love my brother. He's in Indianapolis. Got a niece. My mom's still home in Grand Rapids. This is good for me, and I would like to think this will continue. I mean, we're always got little things in the hopper that may be bigger, but I also know bigger isn't better. I like being a part of a community and kind of serving that community every day than resting my head in my own bed versus there's something that you just miss a little when you're national or international. You kind of just cover the disaster du jour.
Yeah, well,
you just barely touch on the problem, and then you're gone.
Well, but you know what? You're such a good storyteller that I think you could elevate that. And I'm not saying that to kiss your ass, and I'm not saying that because we're friends. I honestly believe, as far as reporting goes, you could elevate that for the bigger stories.
And I got to tell you, I'm fortunate to be here. This little kid from Grand Rapids. Now working with the big dogs in Chicago, and hopefully I can. It's definitely something still on the radar. Probably got a few years left. May have to color the hair. That gray, that premature gray is really kicking, Andy. And my brother, who's older, doesn't even have a strand of gray.
Yeah.
But I always say, but here's the thing: is his follicle is a little thinner. So I say, at least I got mine, brother. At least I got that here. I can color it. So it's funny, though. I keep in touch with a lot of the old Wood friends. Ginger Z's our resident star from Grand Rapids.
Yep.
Talk with her. She was just in Indiana a couple of days. We're hoping to meet up here. She initially thought she was going to be dispatched to Washington, but then went to Indiana, and now she's back doing the GMA thing.
Right on, man. Well, I'll tell you what, Brad, if you ever get a big story or whatever, we're always here. You've been a great friend for a long time. We appreciate the story about what's going down in Illinois there. And I'd say Red Cross, if somebody wants to do something, get a hold of the Red Cross.
To me, it is always, I default to the Red Cross because I see them more on the ground, and as an investigative reporter too, I know you maximize your dollar that will eventually go to the people.
Awesome.
They don't have that hulking overhead that a lot of charities do. So your dollar, most of it, is going to go to the people.
There you have
my
it.
best to you and Muskegon. Keep doing the awesome work. Love you, brother, and my best to West Michigan.
All right, Brad. Take good care, man.
All right, man. We'll talk. Bye.
Later.